I'm like a big multitasker, so I'll just like do the dishwasher or like watch Love Island in the background. Hi, I'm Zainab. I'm a recipe developer and contributor for New York Times Cooking and the food section sometimes. I'm at the New York Times Cooking Studio kitchen today and super excited to be making Chana Masala. So Chana Masala is super easy. It's commonly made in all parts of South Asia, especially in Punjab on both sides of the India and Pakistan border, and variations on it abound. So you can really make this dish your own, spicier, more saucy or less saucy. And the best part about it is if you have a can of chickpeas at home and an onion and a tomato, you're pretty much good to go. And some spices, of course, which most of us typically have in our pantry. We're gonna start by heating our ghee or clarified butter. Ghee is solid at room temperature, so what we're really just looking for is for the ghee to melt and use it as a moisturizer too. I'm using ghee because it doesn't burn easily and it still has that like really delicious buttery taste that adds richness to any dish. I'm putting in my ginger and garlic. You can use paste or you could use chopped ginger and chopped garlic. When you first put ginger and garlic in, you'll smell the rawness of it. We want to cook it just enough so that smell dissipates. That's how you know that it's cooked enough.
It's all in my eyes.
We cook the ginger and garlic for about 30 seconds. We're going to saute the onion until it softens and turns translucent, about 5 to 7 minutes. This process of making the base is really common in South Asia and many parts of Pakistan, many parts of India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. It's basically ginger, garlic, onion sauteed together, add the spices, add the tomato, cook it down, and then you can add any vegetable that you want or any kind of meat that you want. The onions have softened and they're changing color, which is how we know that they're done. And this is the point where I'm gonna put all of my spices in, whichever spices that I'm using. I'll put the cumin seeds in first and let them catch some heat. I'm going to add my red chili powder, my ground cumin, ground coriander, turmeric. I do love a recipe that uses both ground cumin and cumin seeds. The cumin seeds have a really delightful way of adding texture to any dish that you feel needs it, and it's like a little burst of flavor. I'm not gonna cook these for too long because we don't wanna burn them. They're ground spices, so about 30 seconds is fine, and you'll notice that the smell will change also in the air around the pot that you're using to cook it in. And it's kind of this delicious spiced smell. All right, time for the tomatoes. So in any heavily spiced dish, the onion will always provide a little bit of sweetness and the tomatoes provide a little bit of sourness and creates a really beautiful backdrop for any kind of spice dish that you might be making. Turn the heat up to high, add some salt. It helps break down the tomatoes and helps them cook faster. You're gonna cook this for about 5 to 7 minutes or until the oil starts to separate from the tomatoes and the tomatoes have fully broken down. I get this question a lot, which is what does the tomato and oil separating look like? When I drag my spoon, you'll see the oil separate from the tomato. That's basically it. And then in the corner, you'll see the oil bubbling a little bit because it's separate from the tomato. I don't use as much oil, but traditionally people use a lot of oil. Sometimes the food is like floating in oil. Tomatoes are done. Forgot to put the green chilies in, but we're just gonna add them now and pretend like I did that earlier. It is now time for the chickpeas. Chickpeas go in, and so does the stock. I'm gonna bring all of this to a boil and then reduce it to a simmer. So high heat for now, and then once it starts bubbling, we can lower the heat to medium. The chana masala has been simmering for about 10 minutes. If you want it to be saucier, simmer it for less time. If you want it to be thicker with less sauce, simmer it for longer. I'm gonna smash some of these chickpeas in the pot so that the starch from the chickpeas mixes up with the sauce and thickens it. It's an easy, quick way to do that without adding an ingredient. smashing the chickpeas. Smashing the chickpeas. Smash, smash, smash. I am going to taste it to see if it needs anything, maybe salt. Wow, it's delicious. Nope, doesn't need anything. Gonna turn it off and top it with a sprinkle of garam masala, some cilantro, and some fresh ginger. Garam masala is a little bit like our 5-spice. It's basically a blend of multiple different spices, cumin, peppercorn, has a few other spices in there. If you don't have garam masala at home, in a pinch, just increase all the other spices that you're using and you should be good. The chickpeas really benefit from the spice and the tartness of the tomato, the sweetness of the onion. But I think most of all, the finishing touch, the spritz of lemon, cuts through the general complexity and spice level of the whole dish. It's delicious. How many ways can I say it's delicious? Delightful. You can find this chana masala recipe on NewYorkTimesCooking.com and in the link down below. Is it too close to my face? Put my face in it.